Welcome back to Breakfast. With employees no longer bound by the walls of an office, businesses are more mobile and connected than ever. But that connectivity could also expose an Achilles heel: former employees retaining access to the company's IT systems. Joining me now is Richard Cheeseman from IT company Lume. Good morning to you.
Morning, Nutty.
What sort of access are we talking about here? Is this just your company emails a few weeks after you leave the company, or what?
It can be that. It can be that on your mobile phone or your desktop at home. It can be things like access to your accounting system if you use online accounting, or shared documents that are held in the internet. Anything really that you don't have in your office anymore. So
what is the risk here then of people maintaining access to that kind of information?
Well, you'd like to think that people are trustworthy and there isn't a risk, but at the end of the day, sometimes we have contracts that require us to control private information so that other people can't access it. Sometimes we have people who leave under bad circumstances, and the fact that they can still access those systems means that they could do things with information they didn't ought to. In the worst case, it's fraud, people actually stealing things from you.
So what should companies be doing here? Being a bit more vigilant about shutting down that access when someone moves on, or...?
It's as simple as that. It's actually process and governance. It all comes down to managing the environment, the technical environment, properly. And I think it's changed from the days when you used to close the office door and walk out of the office at the end of the day, and everything was safe behind that door. Now our information is everywhere. It's in the cloud, as they call it. You can't close the door on it, so you have to think about different ways of managing people and managing the systems around that and the security that goes with it.
Is it just about the cut-off point when someone leaves the company, or is it about making sure there are different tiers of access, I guess, befitting your role within the organisation? I
think that's a really good question, because it is, in the simplest sense, is it's when somebody leaves the office. But what happens if you had a person who was trusted with access to a customer system and then they move on to a different role? They don't need that access any longer. Maybe it's about managing that relationship with the customer as well.
Any idea how big the problem might be?
We found it to be remarkably sort of widespread. I thought, when I first came across it, it was a surprise to me. I thought, well, I hadn't thought about it as being a big issue. But the more people I talk to, the more I think, especially in small businesses, people haven't caught up with the process around managing it, and we haven't thought about it.
I was going to ask you whether it's small or larger businesses, because I guess there's more information perhaps in a larger company, but perhaps not an IT department in a small business. So how should they better manage that?
Well, that's exactly the issue. Often a small business, and even a medium-sized business, doesn't have anyone dedicated to managing the technology. And so it comes down to thinking about the processes. It comes down to having the right governance. So you've got someone who's responsible for not just buying the new PC, but thinking about the overall systems and how they work together and how that affects your relationships with your customers and your suppliers and your staff. It is as simple as process and procedure, actually, but it does take a focus on governance.
Sometimes the easiest problems solved are always the ones missed. Thank you very much, Richard. That is Richard Cheeseman from the IT company Lume.